Hello everyone, and welcome to week 14 of English 121. This week we're turning to drama. Please begin by watching this lecture on an introduction to drama. Then read chapter 34, which is about reading a play. Please listen to Trifles in the interactive text. Trifles is also found in our print text beginning on page 1153, I believe. Yes, beginning on 1153. So you might want to read along as well. Then we're going to have a discussion about trifles. You're going to be answering some of the critical questions, and you'll also do a reflection journal on trifles. So we're just warming up with this short play this week. Next week we're going to be taking on a bigger play, one of my favorites, August Wilson's Fences. So you want to plan for that. It's going to be, the pages are listed on the last slide in this lecture, in case you're somebody that likes to read ahead. So let's talk a little bit about reading and understanding drama. A play is a work of storytelling in which actors represent the characters, and it is addressed to an audience. So a play is meant to be performed, but that doesn't mean that it's not something that we can analyze as a piece of literature. There's a lot of conventions found in plays. For example, if you're watching or reading a play like Antigone, which is an ancient Greek play, it wouldn't be surprising to come across a chorus. A chorus is just a group of citizens on the stage next to the main character, and they provide their feedback during the play. Another convention is the soliloquy. That's where a protagonist or a main actor will step aside and give a monologue in which we seem to overhear that character's inner thoughts, but they're uttered aloud. One of the most famous ones is Hamlet's "to be or not to be" speech. Or an aside is when a character addresses the audience directly, and even though they might be standing right next to a character, to the other character they're talking about, the other character doesn't hear them. So it's just between the character and the audience. The theme is a general point or truth that may be drawn from the play. Just like when you read a short story, a play offers a single reading, a main theme that you might be looking for, and this varies based on the evidence you find to support it. Most plays have a conflict. There's some central struggle going on. In Trifles, that struggle is clearly that someone's been murdered and trying to solve that problem. The plot is in a play is the arrangement of the events. How are we told the events? In some plays, there's a subplot, which is a secondary arrangement of events, but that isn't the case in Trifles. The protagonist, just like in the story, is the leading character. Exposition is the beginning part of the play where the characters are introduced, and we really learn what the conflict is and what happened before the curtain rose. The dramatic question is the problem that's going to be solved in the play. Climax is the moment when tension reaches its greatest height in the play, when the dramatic question is about to be answered. And resolution is the outcome of the plot. There's also, just like in short stories, there's rising and falling actions. This is moving toward the climax and what happens afterwards. So the rising action is what happens up to the climax, and the falling action is what happens after the climax. Unity of time, place, and action. A play must represent a series of interrelated actions that take place within 24 hours in a single location and should either be entirely serious or entirely funny. So if we look at page 1166, I believe, 67, it's really important to look at how this is applied. Because its action occurs all at one time and in one place, the play Trifles does observe the unities of good, the good unities of drama that are laid down by the Italian literary critics in the 16th century. And this is based on Aristotle's binding laws. And it's the idea that the play has to take place within 24 hours in order for the audience to understand it. It has to take place in a single location and should be entirely, the whole play should be serious or the whole play should be funny. Now, does everyone follow these principles? No, that's not the case. But it's important that you know about these principles as you're thinking about analyzing the play. Symbols can be a prop or a thing in a play meant to represent something much larger. For example, a bird cage and trifles. Paying attention to these is very important. If someone has a prop on the stage in a play, it's really meaningful. Stage business are just the nonverbal actions that engage the attention of the audience, and those are usually communicated through the stage note. The notes in a play. All right. When you think about a play, you want to identify first the play's protagonist. Who's the main character? Identify the antagonist. So who's against that character? Identify the central dramatic conflict. What's the problem in the play? And then how does the conflict influence the action of the play? When you write about a play, you want to list the play's 3 or 4 main characters. Jot down what each character wants most at the play's beginning. Which of these characters is the protagonist? What stands in the way of the protagonist achieving his or her goal? How do the other characters' motivations fit into the central conflict? Identify any double plots or subplots. What are the play's main events? How does each relate to the protagonist's struggle? Where do you find the play's climax? How is the conflict resolved? What qualities in the protagonist's character bring about the play's outcome? Does the protagonist achieve his or her goal? How does success or failure affect the protagonist? So we're going to use all of this new information to look at Trifles, the play that you found in your chapter. I'd like you to look at the questions found on pages 1163 to 1164. And I'd like you to answer at least 3 of these questions using evidence from the text to support your answer. Try and make sure also that you choose questions that have not already been answered. I'd like collectively for us to answer all of these questions. Please also respond to at least 3 of your peers' posts in a way that extends the conversation so we're all actively talking about this amazing play. As always, your first initial post is going to be due by Friday at 11:59 p.m. if you want full credit, and you'll need to respond to at least 3 of your peers by Monday at 11:59 p.m. In your reflection journal, you're also going to be thinking about Trifles. Read Writing Effectively, that's found on pages 1168 to 1169, and the biography about Susan Glaspell, that's provided by our e-text. Then answer the following questions. What did you learn about Susan Glaspell and her writing of Trifles? What episode is the play based on? What did she see as a problem with the plays offered on Broadway? Do you think Trifles is a play that makes you think? Why or why not? Have you ever been to see a play? If so, what was it? And what was it like to see it performed? How is reading a play on the page different from seeing it acted on the stage? Alright guys, next week we're going to be moving on to reading Fences by August Wilson. We're also going to be reading about Modes of Drama, chapter 35. I also want to add that to remind you that on Tuesday, the 18th, there is an extra credit opportunity still. You can come to see the poetry reading on campus. It's at 5 o'clock in the Little Theater. If you show up, you get 5 points. If you show up and then you write a review of your response and email that to me the next day, you get 10 points. So it's a great way to get 10 points extra credit. Also, I'm adding this towards the last few weeks of the class. If you do go see a play anywhere, it needs to be a professional play of some type. If you go see a professional play and you write a 1 to 2 page review, you can also get 10 points extra credit because it's the best way to learn about drama is to go see it performed on the stage. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop by my office hours on Mondays or Wednesdays from 12:30 to 3, or you can schedule another time to come see me. Alright guys, I'll see you online.